Hi there, Morgan here from Crafting a Lovely Life, and today I'm going to show you how to make a card using your Cricut and heat transfer vinyl, also known as iron-on vinyl. I love using heat transfer vinyl on cards because it's super easy and there's pretty much zero risk of the design falling off like you might get just using paper and glue. I also think the HTV makes the card look super professional. The first thing we're going to do is open a new project in Cricut Design Space and upload our design. The design I'm using today is available for free on my website, and I will link that down below. Once you get the design open, we're going to make a large rectangle in Cricut Design Space. This will be used for the base of our card. The design is sized for an 8x6 card, but you can resize the design to make any size card you would like. I don't recommend going a whole lot smaller just because working with really small lines like you see on these flowers can get difficult the smaller the image is. Next, I'm going to change the color of the rectangle to see how the design will look on different colored cardstock. I chose a light pink for this card and I love the way it looks. Now we can move the design over to the rectangle to see how it looks and double check that everything is going to fit just right. If the design is behind the rectangle, just use the align option to move the design to the front. We have one more step to do before we make it, but I want to show you what would happen if we clicked make it before doing this last step. So as you can see, the design is all over the place. We do not want our design to look like this when we cut it, so we need to go back and use the attach feature to fix this. So just select the design and click attach. Then we can make it to see the difference. Now our design looks just how we want it. Since we are using heat transfer vinyl, we need to make sure to also mirror our design. So click the mirror option for that mat. You don't need to do this for the card base, just the design. Then click continue. Next, I'm going to place the heat transfer vinyl on my standard grip mat. You want to place the HTV with the shiny side down. Then I like to use a brayer tool to make sure the material is really stuck on the mat well. Now we need to select our material type before we can cut. I'm going to do this part on my tablet, but you can do it on your computer as well. I'm using a non-Cricut brand HTV for this project, so I'm going to set my material to heat transfer vinyl non-Cricut. If you're using an Explore machine, you'll want to set the dial to iron on. Once you select your material, the arrow button on your machine should start blinking, meaning you're ready to load your mat. Once the mat is loaded, the Cricut button will start blinking and you're ready to start cutting. When the machine is done cutting, the arrow button will start blinking again and you can unload the mat. To take the HTV off of the mat, you'll want to flip over the mat and gently peel the mat back from the HTV. Next, we're going to grab the blue light grip mat so we can cut the cardstock. We're going to place the cardstock on the mat and use the brayer tool again to make sure the material is really stuck. Back in Design Space, you'll want to change the material type to cardstock. If you're using an Explore machine, you will want to set the dial to cardstock as well. Load your mat like before and start cutting. When removing cardstock, it is especially important to flip the mat over and peel the mat away from the paper. Cardstock will curl like a ribbon if it is pulled off the mat directly. Now we're going to start weeding the design. I'm using a Cricut weeding tool for this part and I highly recommend you do as well. I've linked all of the materials I recommend for this project below. When I'm weeding, the first thing I do is get the bulk of the excess vinyl peeled off. Take your time with this part so you don't accidentally tear or weed the wrong parts of the design. After I get the bulk of the excess vinyl off the design, I go back and get all of the smaller pieces in the letters and the rest of the design. Make sure you look over your design a few times to make sure there aren't any little pieces you missed when weeding. Now I'm going to pull up Cricut's heat guide so I can figure out what temperature I need to set my Cricut EasyPress Mini to. I will link the heat guide below as well. For this project, I'm selecting the EasyPress Mini, then selecting Cricut Everyday Iron-On for the material because that is close enough to the type of HTV I'm using. Then I select what type of material I'm applying the HTV to, which in this case is cardstock. The heat guide recommends using the lowest temperature setting for the EasyPress Mini. It says to use light pressure and consistent movement for 25 seconds. If you're wondering if you can use any other type of Cricut EasyPress, the answer is yes, and there are heat settings for those machines on this guide as well. I personally prefer using the Mini for this project because when I have used the larger heat press on cardstock, I noticed that it dulled the color of my cardstock a bit and also made the card a bit wavy once it was folded. I think that's just from too much direct heat. When I use the Mini, I can move it around constantly so no one area gets too hot hot and I can avoid those issues. Now for the easy part. We just line up our design where we want it and use the EasyPress Mini to adhere our design to the cardstock. Make sure you place the card on a heat-resistant mat before heating. Again, this part is sped up a lot, but you want to continually move the HeatPress Mini over the design, making sure to get all of the heat transfer vinyl. I did each part of the design for about 25 seconds each with continuous movement. The type of heat transfer vinyl I'm using is a warm peel, meaning you have to peel the plastic sheet away from the design while it's warm. The type of vinyl you purchase will specify if it is a warm peel or cool peel heat transfer vinyl. Once you start to peel the plastic sheet away, if you notice any parts of the design not adhering to the cardstock, just place the plastic sheet back down and go over that spot with the HeatPress Mini again until it sticks. The last step is to fold your card in half. You can use a scoring tool for the fold if you want, but I'm just going to fold it the old-fashioned way with my hands. And there you have it, super simple, and I love how this card turned out. Don't forget to grab this free design and the written tutorial for this card on my website listed below. Thanks so much for watching, bye!